We're all versions of the same person, just striving towards something. Happiness, peace, joy, satisfaction, and a feeling that we're the right person, we're the right versions of ourselves, and we're doing the right things at the right speed, at the right time. I don't know. What does life mean to you? That's what it means to me. Hey. First sip of this drink, black coffee. Excellent. This is going to be a riff. It's going to be an honest to God, just Ari overshare journal of my life right now and what feels the most important to me, which is just musings on being a 25-year-old and where I feel like I am in my life right now. And the answer to that, more specifically, I guess, in some capacity, is that I'm in my purpose. For the first time in a long time, I'd say the first time since I graduated college back in 2019, I feel like I am who I'm supposed to be. And not that there's a version of ourselves that we are supposed to be or should be or need to be, but I feel like I'm finally on the bullseye of my purpose. And it feels really good. Now, if we take a little bit of a higher level view, I've always been doing things that I think in some capacity, on some level or layer, have touched who I am. I'm really into my health and fitness. I eat a really clean diet. I try to manage the quality and the quantity of the sleep that I get. I care about my friends, and I've been establishing and building a very conscious community. And so it's not that I was really far off the mark, but I think I felt a little bit like I was missing something that should make me feel really on, like I was really on the path and I was doing something that would make me feel fully myself, if that makes sense. And truth be told, it's as simple as starting to write again. I know that I was put here to write. I think that it's my life's purpose, and it's not necessarily that I know I'm supposed to write a memoir, which I'm working on now, or if it's just the collection and the aggregation of all the poems I've ever written, or it's just the way that I bring this poetic sort of ability to the conversations that I carry with people or my communication skills. I don't know exactly what of all of those things are, but I went a really long time, I think, between college and graduating college and even before then, where I wasn't writing. And I don't think I've ever really been writing on a consistent basis ever since I was maybe 16 or 17 years old in high school and I was depressed, and writing at that time served an entirely different meaning and an entirely different purpose for me. Let me shift gears for a quick second and talk about what my life looks like right now, because I think there's something really awesome about showing you how little has changed in my life on a scheduled basis now that I'm in my purpose versus when I didn't feel like I was in my purpose. And also to kind of give you a sense ultimately of how powerful that feeling is and can be if you can find it in your life and channel it into action. So Monday to Friday, I wake up at 5 a.m., I roll out of bed, I read, I go to the gym, I crush a hard workout, I come home, I get ready for work, I go to work 9 to 5. Some days I'm in an office, some days I'm at home. The schedule is pretty much the same. Around 5:30, I shut my laptop down, I get home, and in the past, what I would do is really just gallivant. I would sort of twiddle my thumbs and get to the end of my day and say, well, it's 6 o'clock, it's a little too early for when I want to eat or start making dinner. So I'd find an excuse. I'd maybe go for a walk, or I'd listen to a podcast. Maybe I'd go to the grocery store and convince myself that I needed this one particular grocery item at this particular point in time, which is really just an excuse and a distraction of spending good quality time with myself. So a lot of the things that I would do at the end of the day, it's not that they were against who I am. It's not like I was walking down to the bar down the street and grabbing a drink or sitting and watching a ton of Netflix, but it wasn't purposefully spent time. And what I mean by that is I'd get home and I didn't really have a sense of direction for how I wanted to utilize the rest of my evening, whether it was for productivity's sake, or for just my mental health's sake, or just to kind of feel like, hey, we know what we're doing today. Even if the goal is just to watch Netflix, like just bringing conscious energy and attention into that as the goal. I didn't have that. Even if it's just those like 2 hours at the end of the day, those are really very important 2 hours of my day, where I would just feel kind of meaningless and confused and like, what am I doing? And then I'd get to dinner time and I'd sit, make dinner, which is where we get back to my normal schedule now, eat it, watch some YouTube, watch some Netflix, hang out, lay low, and get ready for bed, and start that schedule all over again. That's how it's been, but how is it now? Well, how is it now? The only difference is that I've told myself I need to write for 1 hour a day. That's it. No more, no less. If I hit my hour, I'm allowed to shut my laptop down and change gears. I don't need to write more just because I'm in the mood to, although if I am, then I will. So my new schedule is the same one that I just laid out, except when I get home from work or I shut my laptop down at 5:30, I walk to the library down the street, and from 6 to 7 p.m., I sit and I write whatever I can possibly think of to get this memoir moving forward. I think the most surprising, shocking, powerful part of all of this to me is realizing how powerful 1 hour of your day can be, or how powerful it can be if you just dedicate 1 hour of action toward the things that light you alive, that set you on fire, that bring you into the marrow of your passion. Because I think a lot of people just aren't living passionately, no matter what that looks like to you. I mean, I think a lot of people are really just sleepwalking through life. And candidly, I felt like that for a little bit of time too. The reason that I started this video by saying I don't think I was super far off the mark is because I'm somebody who has most of my life, relatively speaking, put together, knock on wood. I'm very grateful for that. Both the things that have been, fortuned upon me and the things that I've worked hard to be able to say about myself. But I still I know that the whole 9-to-5 thing isn't really what I'm here to be doing, but I'd be really confused. And I'm like, I don't want to be a full-time writer. And then I'd twiddle my thumbs and I'd not write. And you know where this story is going. We all have some version of it. And I think for some people, the struggle is different. Some people truly have no idea what their purpose is. They don't know why they're here. They're struggling to find meaning in their life, even if life is going really well. And some people do know what their purpose is, and they're just not acting upon it. And I found myself in that latter category. I think there's a lot of challenge between saying that I'm a writer and all of the, predefined assumptions of what that means about me as a starving artist or somebody who's just sitting down and as a recluse and doing this whole thing with no real meaning or whatever to it. I don't know. A lot of self-judgment, as you can so obviously tell, but I just wasn't writing. And I wish I had a good end to this video by saying, here's what you should do to find your purpose, or here's what you should do if you know what your purpose is, but you're too scared to act on it. Because the reality is I've known for years and years and years that I want to write a memoir, and I just never did it. And I don't want to use the words I didn't get around to it, and I'd actively avoid it. I'd get to the end of my days and I'd have done everything else right. I would have meditated and gone to the gym and been a good friend and done my work and made a video like this, and there would still be time, and I wouldn't want to watch YouTube anymore, and I would just not write. And that was a choice that I was making. But when I got back from Utah, or really just being out there, it made me realize, as I met more and more people who were living some version of their purpose, who were so intentional with whatever it was that they were doing, like my base jumping, flight captain, whatever you want to call that kind of guy, or the guide that took me climbing, or even the maintenance guy at the hostel that I was staying at and the barista at the coffee shop, who is just the coolest guy ever, and he just said, yeah, he had to come back here because I loved the desert and I love this coffee shop. Like, every one of these people had some shared light to them, and the shared light was the fact that they knew what their calling was. They knew, even if not for a long time horizon, in this particular moment, they all knew what life was calling them to do and to be. And they were acting on it. They were actually living their purpose. And it brought so much energy and vitality to the conversations that we had, and to their eyes, and just to the overall person and being that they were in life. And I wanted that. And I realized that I have that. I just don't use it. Like, I think so many of us know what we should be doing, or know how to make ourselves feel more like ourselves, and for whatever reason we're too scared, we're worried, we don't feel like we're capable, we don't feel like we're deserving. We have all of these excuses and rationalizations in our head that are like bullying us out of doing things that we would love to be doing, that would make us feel so good. Like, why? And that's how I felt when I got back. I just felt a little dismayed, and I was like, I don't want to spend a couple $1,000s to fly myself to the middle of the desert and take a week off from work to be this present and happy about the life that I'm living. How do I get back home and make this happen for myself far more frequently, even if it doesn't look the same? I'm not climbing mountains. How do I get this to happen? And that's just when it hit me that I needed to start writing. And that hour has totally shifted the trajectory of my days. Even though it is just 60 minutes of my day, there's a fuel in my life. There's a light in my life that I'm accessing. I'm taking action. I am working toward becoming the person that I claim to be or want to be. And that engenders a level of energy and power and potency into the self that cannot be matched by anything else. It just simply cannot be. When it comes to talking to people now and meeting new people and they ask what I'm about, I have a good answer. I say, well, this is what I do for my job. This is how I make money. This is what I do in my free time. But ultimately, I'm writing a memoir, and this is the most important part of my life. And this is the biggest priority of my life. And when it comes to making plans with people now, I don't just say, yeah, I'm free or whatever, that time works. I'm like, no, I cannot see you during the week because I have 1 free hour of my life and it's going to myself. Sorry, no budging, no exceptions. And when it comes to the weekends now, I make sure to consciously carve out time to write. And I block my calendar. If I know that I want to work out or go for a run in the morning, and then I have other things that I have to do, when do I want to write? And I prioritize that. And I put everything else outside of my writing block, That is the heart of my life. That is the central nucleus of my life, and everything else deservingly should move around it. So this is just me riffing on my purpose, and I feel great. I feel really good about it. Sometimes it's hard to take that action. I do not feel like writing every day, especially when some of this material is so sensitive and challenging to write. I told my friend Allie, it feels like every day I'm walking towards the edge of the lion's den, and I have to get close enough to be able to describe and detail what I am feeling and what I've experienced effectively. But I risk every single time I approach that edge getting sucked into it and being triggered and losing control or not feeling well. And it's a very, very hard line to track. But it's my purpose, and I'm going to do it anyway. That's it for me. If you're struggling to find your purpose or just be disciplined in the pursuit of your purpose, I'm here for you. and we'll get this thing done together. There's no me without you. There's no you without me. We're all versions of the same person, just striving towards something. Happiness, peace, joy, satisfaction, and a feeling that we're the right person, we're the right versions of ourselves, and we're doing the right things at the right speed, at the right time. I don't know. What does life mean to you? That's what it means to me. I love you. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.